Yeah.
Okay. Let me just double check here. All right. We are good to go. All right, so does everybody have a packet? Yes. Okay, so first thing is the minutes. Kate's first to go.
I move that we approve the minutes as written.
And I second.
All right.
It was very surprising
Detailed.
to see all of the things that have happened since this and now where we're going to pick up today.
Mhm.
That's really surprising and
Yeah.
pleasing.
Yes. And excuse me, I hope I can get through this without having to leave the room like I did 1,000 times last night. The basketball courts lighting project, had Tim talked about that much at all while you guys were still there? Okay, just as you've seen, if you've ridden by there, they're in place. They should be, I believe he said next week, they should be ready to go. The council is still talking about the times, and we did talk about that last night. The public hearing on that ordinance will be on the 23rd. And it looks like they're gonna go for changing the time for the tennis courts as well, which if people aren't using it, you know, it just,
Yeah, Tim's printout showed that.
it makes things a lot
Yeah,
easier to
it
be
wasn't-
consistent
Yeah.
across both
What
parks.
time period was his printout from?
I don't know.
I think the whole year.
I think the
Was it
last
a
year. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
'Cause I just know driving home at night, I look over and I see the lights on in the tennis court. It's nothing scientific.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, they do get good
Surprised.
use, but if his records are showing that nobody turned them on really past 9, now, and I don't think he said this last night, turning them on at 9 means that they're still gonna run for another
Right.
half hour or so, so that may be, I wouldn't think it would be a problem for them to set them, to say, go off at 9:30. So that way somebody can turn them on at 9, but they don't go off for another half hour or
And is that
whatever.
the proposed time?
And that's what we'll talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm very pleased to see the activity on the tennis
Yeah.
courts. And, you know, it's important. That's when people can get out and practice.
Yes, well, and in the summertime, after dark is a little less hot, you know, the sun isn't beating down, and I think that the basketball courts will see a lot of use.
And that's something that,
Now, of course, as somebody said last night, the sun does go down at 9 o'clock. I think Bruce said that, actually.
you know, and yeah, that the people have to decide when they want those basketball
Right,
sounds to stop.
yes, yeah, that's a lot of it, it really is.
How was the response back from the poll, the neighbors?
As of yesterday, I think we had only received 4 responses, and people can submit online or send in the little paper copy. We had only received 4, 2 said 11 o'clock, 2 said 9 o'clock. I did not get the impression, I would never presume to speak for them, but I didn't get the impression from the mayor and council last night that they were inclined to go as late as 11 o'clock. But we'll talk about that. The survey, they have until the 16th to submit it. And so actually Kate and I just talked about it this morning. The morning of the 17th, we'll send out the results of whatever we have so that they can then, you know, mull that over and we can get it into the ordinance.
I hope that everybody who's interested in it takes the time to.
I hope so too. I mean, the apartment complex right there, Homes at Berlin, the manager was very accommodating.
Good.
I just emailed the flyer to her and they put it on everybody's doors, or, you know.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
So,
Oh, that's
yeah.
all you can ask.
Right, and then we mailed it to the houses
And it's
surrounding.
online, it's everywhere that people can get to it. Well,
Right,
thank you, Mary,
right.
for making sure that happened.
Yeah, we did the same thing a few years ago, but that was a few years ago, so.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and the house right next to is gone now.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly, although I believe she's talking about rebuilding there,
Rebuilding.
yeah.
I heard that.
Mhm.
Nice.
Yeah. The only other thing really on the lighting is that I think I'm right in this. There comes a night when they have to aim them, and they do all that by satellite, so I've told Tim we want to know, because we want to see how that goes.
Yeah, that would be a fun.
Yeah, it'll be a fun, but as the
thing to
mayor
do.
said too, he wants to do a sort of a ribbon cutting or, you know, something.
Yeah.
Well, we have a lot of good things happening.
Yeah,
in the park. It's
absolutely.
really been.
Absolutely. I'm just so glad that this is finally happening. It's been on our plate for
So long.
so long, yes. I mean, I think the surveys that I found, hello.
Hey.
Sorry.
Sorry,
The
I'm late,
surveys were back from like 2016.
When we first
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. Ever since we first had it resurfaced, we wanted, and we were gonna go for the bleachers and all of everything. So it's really a nice dream come true.
Yeah,
piece by piece.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you can't be in a hurry in this game.
No. The only update really that I have on the comfort station in Stephen Decatur Park is, we've talked about all this before, just as a refresher. The bids came in double what was anticipated. A lot of that had to do with COVID. The overall massive increase in construction costs, that's everywhere, not just here. We do have a grant application out there for the balance, the difference between the Community Parks and Playgrounds grant and what the bids were coming in at. We did have to inform the bidders, we're not moving forward at this time. So if we get this other grant, we will have to rebid the project and hope. Yeah, it's always a balancing act. I honestly have no real feel for the grant application that's out there. It's a little bit of a stretch, but hopefully, you know, it'll come to fruition. If not, we can look at possibly going for additional community parks and playgrounds funds. These programs can go one of two ways. They can either say, you know, obviously this project is not meant to be and cut it off, or they can say we've already committed this funding. Now let's get the rest of it. So we'll see. We're in limbo with it right now.
It would be a very nice.
Oh, absolutely.
When I see how many were, ever since the surface has been redone on the paths, I've seen twice as many people over there walking,
Yeah.
using the pathways, you know.
As
and-
disappointing, I think, as it was to people to lose the cushiony surface, just the fact that it's a nice, even, consistent
Yeah.
surface is,
Well, it's a ni- I walk it because you don't have to worry about traffic.
excuse me, right.
You know, and it's,
Or
but
a
the
dog
one
running
thing-
out at you
yeah.
from a yard or
But
whatever,
the one thing,
yeah.
when you come around that one loop and you come up behind that comfort station that's there or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
You're like, oh, I can't wait till the new bathrooms are gonna be built.
Yeah,
I can't say it's a public menace, but it's.
On a windy day, it starts further down towards, yeah. Or at worst cases when they're pumping it,
yeah,
Oh,
but whatever.
yeah, yeah.
Well,
So do you think that we'll be able to get one eventually?
I do think that eventually it will happen.
It's just we need
yeah.
more money now,
Yeah,
and that's.
you know, and construction costs, hopefully, of course, we've been hearing this for 2 years, you know, they'll start coming down, but like anything in economics, they may start coming down back to a normal level, but inflation
Yeah,
in the
it's-
meantime, so it's never gonna be as low as it was pre-COVID.
So it's a matter of looking for a different grant or an additional grant?
Additional, different, yeah, we'll just continue to explore our options, yeah.
And I'm sorry that I was late, but what was said about the basketball court lights?
Oh, just kind of reviewed what was said last night.
So nothing
Yeah,
new since,
not really. We have, the surveys are out until the 16th.
okay,
Then we will send the results to the mayor and council for them to mull over in anticipation of the public hearing for the ordinance on the 23rd.
okay.
And it did sound like, from what they said last night, that they're going to change the tennis courts times to be in line, which makes sense. And it makes it a lot easier on the police department and everybody else just to know, you know, these are the times for either court,
Yeah.
so.
Get lights out at a certain time.
We had a tournament one time, a tennis tournament for the Atlantic Hotel staff.
Uh-huh.
And we were having a great time, and then the lights went out and we couldn't get them back on.
Yep, you would hit that, you would hit that, yep.
But we didn't start until the restaurant closed.
Right.
So, it was fairly
Yeah.
late, but they had a good time.
Oh, it's a great idea.
Yeah, that is a good idea.
Oh, it was fun.
Yeah, yeah.
But, you know, it didn't squelch our good time. We were all like, oh, wow.
On we go.
Give your eyes a minute to adjust and go for it.
Bring your flashlights next time and you can move glow ball.
Well, now I know you can reserve it,
Ah, there you go.
but now I know you couldn't do it until later.
Excuse me. Been trying not to do this. You know how it is once you get talking. Oh, there's a flyer at the back of your packet for Worcester County's upcoming walks, just that we're pushing this out, you know, as part of as being a participant in the Just Walk program. The January 1st, obviously, has already passed. Stephen Decatur Park was not part of that this year. They usually do that in Assateague. But I will tell you that I happen to be going over to Annapolis on the 1st. And you know the boardwalk walkway there on Kent
Yeah.
Island, there were so many people out there. Of course, it didn't hurt that it was a beautiful day.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's become very popular.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that walkway is.
Yeah.
How long
Yeah.
is that?
They call it the Cross County Walkway. It
Yeah.
hasn't gone all the way, but I mean, they keep extending it, you know.
Is it a mile or two?
Oh, it's more than that now, I think.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
it's,
Does
It
it go all,
goes
I
over.
see it along Route 50.
Yeah,
It's
so I
got
was curious.
bridges and,
Yeah.
yeah,
It
it
goes-
crosses
it
them.
goes all
Yeah,
the
and
way
it starts
to-
all the way up at Route 8, I guess it is,
And-
the
Yeah.
very first road that goes north-south on
Wow.
Maryland, yeah.
And it goes,
Yeah, it
all- at
goes
least
up.
to Kent Narrows, or the
I guess
Narrows
it's,
there.
yeah,
Is, I know it goes to there,
Yes,
so,
up that
because
far
people
so far.
come and bring their bikes, they
yeah,
get
I
on
think
the
they
bike
might
trail
direct it
now.
under the existing, the new bridge, and it utilizes the old drawbridge probably, because that's got walking path on both lanes. See, that was in 2 lanes either way, so
Yeah.
now it's 1 lane either way, and I'm pretty sure it's always been.
I think that's wonderful. More trails we have, more
Yeah.
people
That's
do
right.
it.
that is absolutely right. So the Go Red scavenger hunt, which is a self-directed scavenger hunt, and the health department staff takes care of all of it, February 18th and 19th.
Go red mean they look for red objects hidden? or
It's,
something?
well, it's,
It's
because it's Valentine's month,
Oh.
but it has to do with Heart Association.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It's, you know,
Yeah.
for your, especially for women, I know that they, you know,
Women's heart health.
women's heart health, but heart health in general is February. They figured it was a natural pairing.
So that's really all that
Valentine's.
is. And forgive me, Cody or Jimmy, I don't really have anything on the AED other than that it is something that the mayor expressed interest in. I think, did the mayor initiate that
Placing-
conversation or did somebody else? Police department?
Defibrillator there.
Right. The AEDs, I think Henry Park would be easy, you put it on the bathroom and there it is. If we get once we get a restroom, when we get a restroom, in Stephen Decatur Park, we could put one there as well.
Yeah.
Right now, I don't know that there's a good location for one.
Yeah,
So, but it's something that we're gonna be exploring.
yeah.
What about the pavilion there?
Yeah, I think you could probably put one at the pavilion. We probably just need to add some signage sort of
High visibility.
just around the park saying AED available at pavilion or something like that. I mean, I won't go as far as to say they're tamper-proof. They're obviously made to be readily accessible.
Yeah,
So that's the only thing, is you don't, you know, you could get into a lot of expense with constantly replacing them, because there are some folks who just cannot leave something alone. But,
yeah.
so that's something that we will be looking
There's been a
into.
lot of publicity with the football player and everything.
Right.
Oh, yes, yes,
And
absolutely.
they work, I've been, I've actually been on with them,
Yeah.
so.
Well, my daughter was playing lacrosse with a girl that had, basically heart failure, heart attack.
Oh.
To Worcester County Fields at that time. I'll never forget it.
Oh, I remember you mentioned that before.
It was,
Oh, I
and it
did.
took a long time for paramedics to come.
Yeah.
And they worked on her for a long, long time. That's why somebody else that was on that lacrosse field owned Baja Amusement.
Mhm.
So because of what happened with her, they bought one at Baja. And there was a car accident from a man that had a heart attack at the wheel and came through the,
That interstate,
crashed into Baja.
crazy
They
intersection.
ran out, got the defibrillator and saved the guy.
Wow.
All because
Of
she
that
happened to be there.
incident. Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
anywhere you can put one is good.
Yeah, and we don't have them, I mean, the park's just, it's a logical location.
Yeah.
So, the other thing that I know the mayor has mentioned in the past, we haven't gotten into a lot of conversation about it, are life rings. There was a particular term
Yeah.
he used, and I can't remember. What
They
it
have them
was.
over in Ocean City, I know
Yeah.
exactly. what-
Yeah.
It has the box that has the ring in it.
Right,
Yeah,
and it's
whatever.
like if you break the box or something, it automatically
Yeah.
calls. So you get into a couple of different things there. You have to have signal and, I don't know, some sort of power source. And so one of the areas that he is concerned about, rightfully so, I think, is around the lagoons, but you would have to place them. It's not like you just put one.
No.
So, yeah, so that's, again, these are things that we're looking at.
I think anything is better. I think if we can get something out there, even just like a life buoy, even if it's not a big, high technical kind of thing. I know that this is, of course, a great temptation, but if, we are aware of the situation now, and I had not really considered that before at all.
How deep does that go, just out of curiosity?
They're not terribly deep, but the problem is the banks are very steep, so it's very hard to get back out of them. So if nothing else, a life ring would help with that.
Yeah, I was
But,
just curious how deep.
they're deep enough, obviously, that if a child of a certain size were to fall in, it could,
Right. Or, somebody gets stuck. There's, it's just,
They are not,
it's not
they're
user
not
friendly.
for swimming, that is
No,
absolutely.
you would
What is
not-
that on the far, like on the one that's the closest, that's got, like those things that go across the top of the water?
That was
They were
the
trying
water
to do
treatment.
some sort of farming of something out
Okay,
there,
and
I
that's just
think.
left there?
Yeah.
That was
yeah.
a part of this,
The process.
the sewage
I can't-
system that they used, they were using
Right.
like a life, the plants were there, they had this
Yes,
whole
To
biosystem that
freshen
was
up the
to.
water that was all.
Well, it was to help process the sewer, it was, I've been to a lot of sewage treatment plants because that's where all the great birds are.
Right?
Yeah.
So
So I was
this
curious
is,
about that when I was.
so it's now, it's a wonderful habitat for many kinds of wild.
Oh, the number of different types of ducks alone.
So many things, the bird, it's really a hot bird spot.
Just around that, because it's
Oh, yeah.
holding all those
Yeah.
seeds and whatever is growing in
Oh,
there.
just-
It's
It's a
just a quiet, open place.
It's a place that,
Yeah.
you know,
I've been
for
down there,
water,
foxes.
you don't
they
have
get
to
in
worry
there.
about foxes so much.
Oh, no, I mean, I know
so-
about the water, but I was just curious about that
The whole area?
place that
That
they
sort
put
of-
in the,
yeah.
the strips.
Yeah, it's a remnant from years ago.
Yeah, it's a rehabilitation project in the future. Just like taking out all of the Bartlett pears and putting in native plants.
So next on the agenda is pickleball courts. And I laughed because when we redid the tennis courts, I had never heard the word pickleball in my life.
Yeah.
We finished the tennis courts, finished them, and suddenly started getting calls, well, are you gonna do pickleball?
Pickleball.
Why
Right.
didn't you?
It was like, yeah, that
It
week.
wasn't popular then.
Yeah, I guess, so. and
The
it-
day we opened it, it was popular.
Yeah, the day we opened, it's like everybody's going, well, where's the pickleball courts? And I literally had never heard the term until then. So Jimmy has done some preliminary research.
Yeah, I guess so last Monday it was a holiday for us. I was heading over towards, Lewis, and I went through, a community, and I went through there, and there probably might have been 100 people playing pickleball. And I see it on TV now, it's all over TV, it's all over.
We've had a lot of-
special with the guy, they had a
And-
competition.
And we've had a lot of people ask about it over the
Very
years
popular
since we
at
did the
times.
tennis
I
courts.
guess the question is, so we have 4 tennis courts, we have 2 sections. You can overlay a tennis court but you would take a lot of extra tape, painting, and, you know, I guess my question is do we wanna think about, or maybe have conversations over the next couple weeks of, would we wanna maybe convert one of the tennis courts? We could put 6 pickleball courts into that one location. It's something that's
You
maybe.
mean in the half of the tennis
To be
court?
Yeah,
cle-
so we
yeah,
would
to be
keep 2
clear,
of 'em.
Right,
We would keep 2 tennis courts and then convert a whole one to
Into 6.
pickleball.
so at the end of it, you would end up with 2 tennis courts and 6 pickleball courts.
Like I said, I guess where we're at right now is that we would wanna, if we would wanna get it, we would have to start thinking about budget within the next month and a half, next month or so. Because if we don't, then we'd be going to next January of 20, you know, we'd be a year and a half out, so.
Is it just paint?
Yeah, I think we would just resurface what's there. We would take out the old 2 nets, because they all have their own net and course and dimensions. So I don't know how much use all the tennis courts get. I don't know if this is something popular. I did hear that Ocean Pines is putting in a big court. I did not get over there.
I've got some
So-
live over there.
Well, they do, it's also, they have teams and stuff like
Yeah.
that. It's part of their
Yeah, right.
social thing that they do. It's not
Yep.
just,
One of the things that I had asked Jimmy, because I'll be honest, I'm reluctant to jump in and eliminate 2 of our tennis
Yeah.
courts.
Right.
If we could maybe just do 1 to start.
Would this fit on one?
That's what I'm not sure of, if that's even feasible.
Could probably take one of the tennis courts away and possibly add 2 or 3 in there, depending on the dimensions. We could look at that too. I guess I don't know how many people are asking to play pickleball. That's the tough
Right,
question.
right.
And
And we don't know how
But
many
if-
people are playing tennis on all 4 either, as I used to.
I doubt all 4 are in use.
Right.
all the time.
Yeah,
But I have seen it full. I mean, you
Yeah.
know, on a nice day, on a weekend, I mean, you'll
I
get
did
it out
yesterday.
there.
I was out
Yeah,
walking.
you know, so you kind of, we have invested a lot in the tennis courts.
Mhm.
And I think with the lights and everything, I'm not really in favor of switching over any of our tennis courts personally. But how many people play handball or squash? You know,
Or the
those-
racquetball and that.
that's a good
section.
question.
Yeah,
That's what I
I
was
mean,
gonna say.
I would, how would that, I mean, I know it would be an expensive job to convert that and create a new space for pickleball courts. But
Could we use any of the existing space for
we have to
a
take
court?
out all of that cement.
Well, would you?
you mean in that back section where the walls are?
The cinder
Where
block
there's
walls.
2
I think that's only one area. It's probably only
Yeah.
a certain length. You
Now,
might
before
not-
we do dive too deeply into
Right.
this, we did use grant funding to redo the tennis courts.
Right.
So that's the initial question.
Right.
Would they be willing to entertain, and I'll be honest with you, Jimmy, that literally just
Yeah.
got in my head,
Yeah.
sitting here. That's kind of the first question we have
Requirements
to
of
ask.
funding.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, in order to keep up with that funding, we need to be sure we do schedule some tennis, you know, that the county or somebody gets involved in tennis classes. I thought that that was part of the.
It's not a requirement, but it was
It's not a
certainly
requirement.
helpful.
Okay.
And the county definitely did it pre-COVID.
Right.
They haven't approached us again, but I mean,
I think that that might be, I think if we really focus on our tennis courts and what we have, which is a beautiful setting, beautiful tennis courts, I think if we work on expanding that usage there, we'd be serving the purpose that we had started out with, which I'm not, I love the idea of pickleball. I think it's great, and that might be, you know, something that we might think of in the future, but I don't want to take away those beautiful tennis courts right now.
yeah,
But
and
I'm not everybody.
other than, I don't know how we could easily, inexpensively gauge how many people are using what.
Yeah.
Would any of, like, could you put one pickleball one in each side of the racquetball area?
That's what I was
we would have to measure that
I was just wondering,
inside
I've never seen
diameter.
anybody playing that.
Looking at the walls too, I don't know if that was.
Yeah, the
something
walls
we're
are-
Yeah.
playing with.
I don't know how you play pickleball.
I don't
I'm not
either.
sure, but I've seen the courts before, I know they don't have any kind of,
Walls.
you know, yeah,
Right.
Yeah, it's open like a tennis court and all of that.
small.
So like all of these don't have anything in between them to keep the balls you know, they would just be next to each
Yeah,
other.
it's, you're not really, the distance that they're apart, what I saw was sometimes they had a small little catch fence, it was like, it was about 2 foot high and it ran parallel.
Just enough to,
Because
Tricky to
really, you're
run
not,
into.
the ball is only, it's not rolling that far. From what I understand, it's not like a tennis ball where it'll hit and
And back.
you're not using the
launch.
kind of
It's
power
kind of
you
like
do in
almost like a
tennis.
wiffle ball. You
Yeah.
know, where I
Oh,
think,
it's a whole
From what
different
I-
ball
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
well. Oh, I did
So-
not realize
That's what it
and
that.
I'm not a pickleball expert
No.
for anybody
But
watching.
you've seen it, you know.
I've seen it on TV, so like, when
I've
it
seen it
hits,
on TV.
when it hits the ground, it kind of starts rolling, and then
It's
that's
not a high
about
bounce
it.
kind of.
So
Okay,
it's not
so
like
it's not.
So you don't need a bunch of,
You don't need.
And the
to
players
each
don't work up the kind of momentum that they do
Correct.
playing
Yeah,
tennis.
it would be
Yeah.
it's the kind of game that someone of my physicality
Correct.
would be able to play without you pulling a muscle. too
Damaging.
much.
From what I'm getting at is, you're each person, you got 4 people and they're each in their square. The ball needs to land in your square. It doesn't need to land, you can hit it, but if you land in your square, it's like out, I guess. But if it lands in the green, that's a foul too, from what I'm
So there's a
catching
lot of
on.
rules.
So
and all
there's,
of that.
but like for a lot of people, I think it's a 1-step motion, 1-step hit, 1-step hit.
Okay.
So it's not like you're running to the
Like
next
tennis.
person's spot.
badminton.
So it's more agile. It's just something, I guess it's the crave. And like I said, when I went through this housing
Excuse me.
retirement community,
Then you said the word.
there was 100 people out there.
It's
Yeah.
for people
I mean,
of a
they were-
certain
Yeah,
age.
that's what I've known people who live in Ocean Pines, and that's
Yes.
the thing.
Yes,
And
it's very, I know, it's very popular.
with a
Senior
certain set.
citizen.
Yeah.
And I think you would need, if it was done, I think you would need a couple courts because to bring like a group of people in where they would probably play, you have, you know, if you get like 25, 30 people, now they could all come in and play a little tournament among
Oh,
themselves.
yeah, that's the
And then
idea of
that's-
having a 6-top like
Correct.
this, you know, you can have the
To
round
utilize
robins
the
and all
whole-
of that. And
Right.
that's why we want multiple tennis courts also, so you can do a round
I'm
robin.
getting
and stuff like
old,
that.
so that seems appealing.
It does seem appealing, but you know,
Maybe we should just do
But I
this.
don't know about it on the tennis court. That's the thing.
I think we need to get some feedback from our.
Ask around and I just wanted to float the idea and see what people think
I've
and
heard it.
we can,
I can
proceed
have-
at another meeting at that point.
It's
I'm
one thing,
reluctant to do away with, I would think we could do away with one of the handball courts. Even if someone is using them, I doubt if there's 2 of them in use at once. I
I've
think
never
probably
seen them really
More often
clean
people
enough
are
to be
using it
used.
for tennis, you know, for
we-
just.
You must have to constantly repaint them because somebody's always putting graffiti
Oh,
on them,
yeah.
aren't they?
I mean-
It's constant.
You know?
And it's, you know, it's, I would love it if people are playing handball, I wish that I knew about it, you know, maybe we could have I mean, we could have to do something big to say, you know, when people are coming in, or, I don't know. If
Yeah, I don't
people wanna
know.
contact us and tell us how much they need the handball courts, but I've never seen anybody use it, have you?
We saw a couple people playing tennis on it.
Yeah, just
they're using it as-
hitting the ball for
Um,
practice.
Cody and I
practice.
took a conscious effort, probably late August into September of, vegetation control, blowing them out,
Thank you,
getting
yeah.
that, you know, where you could actually go in and play tennis and stuff.
Yeah,
We really, made a conscious effort to go in there every other
There's
week
so
or so
much.
and blow out the courts, blow off them,
I didn't mean to say that, it's just that the leaves collect in there.
Oh, yeah, well,
It is
yeah.
it's the capture zone for whatever, and it gets wet and they float in, it's all.
And I think if anyone, there probably get a couple people in there and maybe even take their young kids and let them beat it against, you know, pound against the wall.
So it's good for
So,
that, but
but-
a wall anywhere is good.
But if you would convert it over to something like this, I think you would still get, I think you build it, it's one of them, they build it You'll probably see
Building, they
people
will
come.
Yeah, the people want this.
Yeah.
I really think people
Oh, yeah.
really want this.
It would be nice to be able to accommodate them, but I hate to think of the tennis courts being, you know, after we got this beautiful. I mean, they can be used for many things.
And there was
I
a
know.
lot that went into redoing this.
How long we worked on that going in.
And again, finding more money and
Yeah.
milling machines,
I think if we
trying
were
to
due
sink into
for-
the earth and,
If we were
Right.
due for a rebuild, this would be
Yeah.
a thing to put on the table.
Okay.
And then the pickleball association could give us money.
And that handball court, it seems like all the kids try to do is to get the ball stuck up high. Have you guys ever noticed
I
that?
don't know,
Usually a lot of balls in the
They're
fence.
always way up high in that fence. and I-
So that might be something we would look into,
nice.
how we could modify,
looking
make it a
dimensions,
usable
I see it.
space.
let me reach out to the grantor and also we'll explore the idea of the handball courts and give some thought to how we can get a sense of if people are using the handball courts or not. I don't know how to,
Get a wildlife tracker.
well, hey, trail cams definitely serve their purpose. No question.
It would be something you'd have to monitor over the summer, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
And that
you
might
would
be
just-
that might be a
even-
thing to do, as a trail cam. Yeah.
I've been at the park many years, a lot, and I have never seen anybody in there but kids, like, that look
Yeah.
like they're up to no good.
Yeah, it's a great place
To hide and do, you know.
do things.
Mhm. And I've seen, all kinds of like packed cigarette, one day I saw a bunch of, cold medicine bottles and stuff back there.
Oh, yeah.
So I honestly think it's like a nice little hiding place for
Yeah.
kids that wanna do,
Yeah.
So,
in my opinion, because I've only, like I said, walking there so much, I've always walked that loop.
well, maybe we should ask the chief what his ideas are. Yeah, how he feels.
Well, what do you think, having gone in there and cleaned it up? Do you feel like that happens a lot, or is it maybe a more isolated? I mean, I know that other
I'm sure it's
paraphernalia has
isolated.
been found on the courts that is indicative of, yeah.
There's definitely consistent mischief, I think, going on, but just from, I mean, I've only been here not even a year yet, but talking to some of my guys, and they say that they've painted it 5 or 6
Oh, yeah.
times from
Oh,
graffiti
oh,
and
yeah.
everything else. I mean,
Yeah.
Because I walk by and see it freshly painted, and then, a couple
2
weeks
days
later,
yeah.
there's more.
Yeah,
It's.
yeah, and that's unfortunately, any flat surface, that's kind of inevitable.
But that's
I'm
a
reluctant to take the wall down because we've got the mural.
I know.
Well, we can
But
leave
you
them
know, it's
all up, but
creating
you
that.
don't, it's
Yeah,
all the
yeah,
But the
I
wall
don't know if
creates
a structural
a
engineer would agree with you
that's
on that.
allowing them to
It might all come down there, so.
That's true. That's
But
true.
the walls are creating the privacy that's
Yes.
allowing
Right,
them to wanna do
right.
stuff back there.
Yeah, no, yeah,
And that's, yeah, if there's some way that, because I think that it is it's an inviting place
Yeah.
for a certain kind of person who doesn't want to be seen
certain
by,
elements.
by other people.
Yeah.
So, no, I
Here's
think
the
that
thing.
it's wonderful to.
The thing with that is, and I'm not saying that I disagree, but if they aren't there, they'll be over by the pond, and if they're
Yeah,
not there,
that's
they'll be
true.
in the graveyard.
And they're by the
You
pond,
know,
so I mean,
I understand what you're saying, but I wouldn't,
but
I don't think
I'm
the
just saying it in
problem
the
is
context
here.
of, I don't think anybody's playing ball there.
yes, I understand what you're
Yeah.
saying, oh, yes.
I-
And if we can convert them to something that will actually get used for a purpose that we want it to be used for, then
And
definitely.
invite people in that we want to see in the park,
Yeah.
and that's, give them a,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, and having people wanna do this and come there will automatically kind of, well, you're right, they'll probably drive them to the pond. But
Yeah,
at
but
least
it's
like
a-
having more people there makes it safer
Yeah,
for, people that are walking in when it gets to be dusk and,
right, right. So I will reach out to the grantor just to ask the initial question about the tennis courts, because we did not touch the handball courts when we did that, so
Right.
they don't have a
They don't have to say it.
pony in that show. It's not really what I meant to say, but. Dog in that race is.
That is all I have.
So then, yeah,
Thank
we'll
you.
just look at maybe
Yeah.
some ideas with.
We'll look around,
Yeah.
and maybe see if we can do something inside tennis court, or inside
The handball
the handball area.
Even if it's just
And maybe
like
we'll
one to
just look at-
start.
One on each side,
Right.
yeah.
And if
So,
we have to install a
we'll explore
ticket
some
number
different
system, then
options.
we know we need one.
And that would be a good measure of it.
Yeah.
You know, if we
Yeah.
can, you know, propose it, if it can happen, that would be a
Right.
delightful.
And if people have suggested the circle by the pavilion, you know, that the trail goes around, but I'm hesitant to
That's a-
take away that open
That's
space.
what
We
one-
used it for
one
the
of the-
movies, you know, there may be other things that gets used for.
Kickball, I've seen the middle school kids have played kickball and stuff.
Uh-huh, yeah.
I mean,
Well-
I think one open space is good in the park.
Yeah.
Yeah, and especially because on the other side of Tripoli, that space tends to be very wet, so.
Well, and yeah, and if you put something there, then everything else around it will be even more wet than it. I mean, there's already
Right.
a lot of water in the
Right,
area.
right.
So that's just, you know, me and
Yeah.
my water watch.
All right,
Thank
well,
you. Thank you so much for all that information.
that is all that I have. Does anybody else have anything? And thank you all again, very much. I greatly appreciated that yesterday.
And the Burbage Park, they've made 100 more bricks available if anybody's interested. I procrastinated and didn't.
I did see that the other day, I think.
100, so I did it this time.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
Helen did one for the church mouse too.
Oh, that does raise, it just reminded me, because they had a post about a sign, and I don't know what happened with that.
Yeah.
But I do want to, we need to do something with the rule signs, especially if we change these hours. So I don't want those ginormous, ridiculous signs anymore, so we wanna figure something out for that. I think in Henry Park, if we post it right on the building of the restrooms, I think that's fine. But those great big, I just don't like
Can
it.
we do a QR sign? You know, that you click on this to find the rules.
Oh, sure.
And I think that's an aid and
Yeah.
help for anybody who wants to look at it in there.
What I
We have
kind of
to
had
have
in mind
most of it.
was a large-ish sign with
Yeah.
the main rules,
You're right.
but then a QR to go
Further,
there.
further rules apply, please refer
Right,
here. And, you know, that, for
yeah.
for
I think
full.
the hours are sort of,
I think
the
that,
hours, reserving the facilities maybe, and, I don't know.
I think, yeah.
These signs takes away from any kind of natural.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah, but if you don't put signs up, then, so you do have to have something.
You have
Oh, yeah,
to, you know, the main things, you know,
I
no
don't like
illegal
the signs that
activities,
say,
so you have to
"Why
have
is a frog
those.
in
Yeah.
here?"
So
Or,
that's
you know,
something I
like-
wanna look into.
Well, wonderful.
So I think it takes away from.
So, anything else?
Is there any, have we ever, or is there anything in the books about the type of plants if somebody wants to do something in the park? Is there a rule saying it should be native species or just
Yes,
suggested?
well, it's not part of the parks rules, but it's part of that donation
Right.
program that we
Yes,
did.
they're all-
Okay.
We didn't list very many, I don't think.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
We
Yeah.
listed some native
right,
species,
Yeah,
but we also said just, you know, if you want to do something, the Parks Commission has to approve it.
oh, right,
So-
okay,
You know, we can
yeah.
make more of a judgment call there.
Yeah, they've started on the wildflower garden, it's gonna be not in the park, but right next to it at the cemetery, at St. Paul Cemetery.
Oh, right,
Patton's,
It's wonderful.
she's, yeah,
right.
they're doing the work, and they've already put the plastic down for the winter to kill the stuff, so.
Will it be like right there by Parks?
Yeah, there's
It's-
a gully that separates the
Oh, yeah,
cemetery.
it's on the
So
cemetery
they got
side.
an area in there
Oh,
that's
nice.
kind of
Yeah.
open, so Helen's, their church mouse is, paying to put a,
That's really
I
nice.
think that's
And
really
then-
Beautiful.
It'll extend eventually, you
Yeah.
know, get this going and have it be successful, and then,
Yeah.
because that bank needed.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It's just anything that's.
We decided something had to happen,
yeah.
so
That's nice,
Helen-
that'd be pretty.
Helen came up with the idea.
She's a wonder.
All right, well,
Well, I moved that we adjourn.
Do you want to second that?
I'll second it. My turn, it's my turn.
oh, and the only other thing that I did want to say, which I didn't explain.
done.
Sorry, Kate is at a conference right now, is why she is not here tonight. But I do plan to be here, for a while
Okay.
to make the transition. But I'll probably sit at one of those seats next time.
Thank you for your service in the past, believe me.
Yes.
And thank you all for
Yeah,
your,
thank you.
your volunteer service. Okay, thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Well, I can't believe how many